All right, welcome everybody to First Friday's Wellness Cafe. This is a special series that Lauren and I co-host. I think it's like our fifth round or so. Does that sound about right? Very good. So each month we like to dive into a different nutrition topic or two and then save time for questions and answers. So I want to thank you guys so much for coming in. I hope you look to both of us as a resource with your wellness questions. And we've really appreciated the feedback you guys have given us through the different series. So welcome again so much for joining. Today, what I wanted to focus on a bit or share is why the Wellness Cafe exists, like what led us to this point. So I thought that would be a nice topic to talk about today and share. And it really starts personally on my side. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis because a lot of different foods were really bothering my body. And it's a really hard thing to deal with when you have digestive issues and you're not sure what's wrong with you and you're constantly uncomfortable. And I don't know if anybody else suffers from any different digestive disorders, but it was a lot. And I wasn't armed with any information. I didn't know what was going on. And so I decided to become a nutrition coach because I wanted to know more about nutrition. I mean, I knew general things about nutrition, but I just wanted more. I wanted more information. I wanted to be armed with data. I wanted to figure out what works for different bodies. And so that's kind of how, beyond being a fitness instructor, I got involved in nutrition coaching and research. And I'm now also a personal trainer to, again, further help people in one-on-one. So the biggest tip I can share that helped me with figuring out what's going on with my own body, besides obviously working with doctors, is having a food log. So if there's anybody out there that also you're starting to experience weird things, but you're not sure what it is, having a very detailed food log really helped me figure out food triggers. Like gluten is a huge one for me. So I am like 98% gluten-free. Occasionally I will have something, but if you ever want any advice on gluten-free living, I've been that way for many, many years because of what bothers me. Sometimes dairy bothers me. And so I know a lot of dairy-free alternatives. I tried this for the first time the other day, avocado ice cream. It is mind-blowing how good this is. So I have it here. There's just a little bit left. I even had my family try it the other day. So I want to say that there is hope. And if you're not feeling well because of something, there is information out there. There's people like Lauren out there. You know, Lauren's a registered dietitian. She can help people very specifically go down a certain path. There's coaches like me, personal trainers. But listening to your body, and if something, like, you should be able to walk around during your day and just exist. You shouldn't be thinking and worrying about your stomach or needing to know where the bathroom is. Like, if that's happening, there's something going on in your body. And if you can be your own detective a bit, and then also reach out to experts and doctors and dietitians and coaches and kind of figure out ways to feel better, because nobody deserves to live miserably and have stuff like that going on. So that's how I got into nutrition. And then Lauren has been a member of VFit and then is a dietitian. And when she became a member of the trainer team, her and I just had a lot of common interests. And so while we work with people one-on-one, we wanted to be a resource for this team. So that's when we started this series. So a little bit of background about how and why the Wellness Cafe exists, a little bit more insights into what goes on over here with me. And Lauren has put together some really good info today. So I'm going to pass it off to her about water and all sorts of good stuff. And then at the end, we'll have questions and answers and talk a little bit more at the very end about different ways that you can use us as a resource and future opportunities to work with us. So Lauren, I will take it up over to you, but I need to make you a co-host. So there we go.
Thank you, Maria. Welcome, everybody. Happy first Friday of July. I cannot believe we're here already. But I'm super excited. We love doing this every month. And sometimes the ideas just kind of come to us, and other times, like we love to have your input, but just with the heat lately, I know it's been everywhere. We were like, okay, we're going to focus on hydration this month. Because it's just been hot, it's been humid, we can all feel it. I just started training for a marathon. And so I was literally out on a run this morning, like without water. And I was like, this isn't smart. So it came to mind to me to, because it's good for my own reminders and for everyone else, how important water is for our bodies. And I know we say that here at VFit and everyone knows it, but sometimes what we know and what we do they don't always match up, right? And so our bodies need water. They're made up mostly of water. And when we start getting dehydrated or overhydrated, things can really be off. So let's see, Maria. Oh, I don't know. Let me see if I can share my screen with these. Okay, I'm going to show you some slides because what I wanted to go over was how to figure out about how much water you would need per day. And I don't want to make this too complicated. The way that we explain, they like to use like milliliters and liters and kilograms. And I know most of us don't like talk that way. We do like cups or ounces and pounds. So I tried to make it as simple as possible. But I did want to have it on slides so that you could look at it and write it down. And we'll send you the slides. So, thank you, Maria. I was going to go do that. So I appreciate that. Okay, so I figured because most of us were going to be females that were here today, I only did this based on females and our age group. Okay, so for the first slide right here, they don't have a set amount, like how much each person, they can't really figure out exactly how much water a person needs per day. So they kind of do an estimate, like an adequate intake. So the DRI for females, which just means dietary recommended intake, they do it in liters per day. So I put at the bottom that 1 liter is about 4.2 cups. So if you just kind of look down, there's the age groups. I bolded the ones for probably our age group. So I did from 19 to over 70. And we all need it has about the same. So generally, it says 2.7 liters per day, which is about 11 cups of water per day. And I'd love to hear from you too, like how it works for you. Do you notice this is a struggle? Is this really easy? And what is one way that you really make sure that you get the amount of water that you need? And so if you want to share with the group, I know we've done this in the past when we kind of look at the wellness wheel and we're focusing on our water. And we've had people share their ways that they made sure that they got enough. And then there's some other methods. So over to the right-hand side, it says like, if you're an average healthy adult, you need about 30 to 35 milliliters per kilogram. And this is going back to being complicated because we don't really talk in milliliters and kilograms. So I did put an example at the bottom. And then if you're a little bit older, 55 to 65, you need about 30 per day. And then if you're over 65, 25 milliliters per day. So then at the bottom, you could plug in your own numbers. And if you really wanted to know, I could help you out with this. But to find kilograms, you put your body weight, you divide it by 2.2, and that's your kilograms. And then we need to know how much milliliter is. So 1 cup is 240 milliliters. Now, just for simplicity, I know everybody weighs different. I just used 150 pounds just to be easy. Divided it by 2.2 to find kilograms, that's 68. And then for an average healthy adult, which I would say is all of us, 30 to 35, it put it into milliliters. And in the most simplest terms, that comes out to about 8.5 to 10 cups of water per day. But if you wanted to know a little bit more specifically, you could figure out the math right there. So we usually say, a minimum of 8 cups per day, but that does go up, and that there's a bunch of different factors why we would need more water than that. All right, we can go to the next slide. I don't know if I can control it. Okay, so let's do the right side first. I probably should have put that on the left, but let's talk about exercise since we're all VFitters, and this is really how we all came together in the first place. So I know sometimes we get up really early in the morning and we jump into class at like 5:30 or 6 in the morning. And so maybe you haven't drank a ton of water. And that's okay. But if you can, even if you just have 8 ounces, right? 8 ounces isn't that much. Or if you have more time in your day, try to aim. And there's a calculation for this as well. I kind of just put a range so I didn't overload with calculations. But you could do about 8 to 16 ounces before exercise. Now, if you do too much, I don't know if any of you have done this before, and then you can feel it like sloshing around in your stomach. That's not super comfortable. That happens to me often in those early morning classes. So aim for a little bit less. And And so that would be beforehand. Now for afterwards, especially right now, if you're getting super sweaty, or if you're working out outside and it's super hot, if you're doing endurance exercise, so you're training for 1-2+ hours, there is a calculation to figure out your sweat rate. And that just tells you how much water you lost during your exercise. If we're just taking like a half-hour class, inside air conditioning, you're probably just fine. Drink some water after, but you're probably okay. But if you notice, like some people are just sweatier than others, and that's just natural. And then there's other factors, how hard you're working, if it is hot and humid. And so you just want to make sure that you replace those fluids that are lost, and you sip it over time. I think Anne-Marie said she sips through class. That's a great way to do it. So to sip instead of drinking huge amounts at once is really the preferred way to get your hydration. And then we really don't need to replace electrolytes unless there was a big sweat loss, or if you notice, sometimes people get so sweaty, or I've noticed like after long races, I can feel the salt like on my skin. And that is when we would need to replace with electrolytes. And they make some drinks that have that, but otherwise water is the preferred source. But if you are losing, all that salt, we do want to replace it with fluids. And there's certain drinks that they make a whole bunch of different sports replacement drinks that you could have for that. And then on the other side, we've got the water content of foods. And I had a whole list, but these were ones that had higher. So you can get your hydration from other things just than water. There's water in other beverages like coffee and tea and milk. And then you could eat more high water content foods. So like watermelon, peaches, berries, broccoli, green beans, grapes, soups. I don't have a lot of soup right now in the summer, but oatmeal, cottage cheese, and then those last three, milk, sherbet, and yogurt. Those had a higher content. And what I did was I put in the foods that had at least a half a cup of water content in them. But I do have a full list if you wanted to see that too. I'm just going to check our chat really quick. Oh, yes. Okay, cool. Yes, Morgan. So she said it became easier for her to drink enough water when she switched to room temp water, and cold water was more challenging to drink. So I can relate to that. I don't know if anybody else, that sounds familiar. I would just say drink water however you like it, and we'll make you drink water. So if you like it really ice cold, go for it. If you like it more room temp, do that. But that's good. I'm glad you noticed that, Morgan, and then you were able to adjust and make it work for you. All right, Maria, we can go on to the next one. I can switch it. Okay, sweet. All right, and then I just want to go over two things. Now remember, I am not a doctor, so I can't tell someone if they're dehydrated, or I'm not going to get too much into the medical terms, but just things to be aware of this time is if you're having a sodium deficiency. So what would that look like? So that could happen if you have really excessive sweat and you lose 3% of your total body weight, a deficiency can occur. So this is pretty rare. In normal day-to-day, a healthy person, it's pretty rare. If you really decreased your sodium intake over several months, or if you were drinking really, really large amounts of water. So while you want to drink water, you don't want to overdo it either, because then it does throw that balance off. And I thought those three kind of applied the most to us. These other ones may apply as well, but if someone has like anorexia or bulimia, if you're having vomiting, diarrhea, and you're losing fluids that way, certain medications can be fluid, you can lose fluid. And so usually your doctor would talk to you about that, and then burns or fever. And these are just some of the symptoms to look out for: muscle cramps, nausea, vomiting. Now these would be bad, shock, coma. And then there's just some other ones: dry skin, pale or dry mucous membranes, headaches, confusion. Oops. And then the last slide, I don't think I can change it. I can't, you have to? Yeah. Oh, there it is. Okay, thank you. All right, and then sodium excess. So now this is rarely happens from having too much sodium just in your diet. But it could happen from decreased water intake, so you are dehydrated. Maybe you have a medical condition, and so you're excreting a lot more water, or just some sort of dysregulation. So these symptoms would be like, and this is what's kind of difficult. Some of them look similar: nausea or vomiting, a rough, dry tongue, a faster heart rate, higher blood pressure, you're restless, agitated, higher body temperature, muscular twitching, tremors. I'm actually not familiar with hyperreflexia. So I'm sorry, I don't know what that is exactly. And then flushed, dry skin. So if you're just noticing some of these, and some of them are not even this obvious, sometimes you might just have a little bit of a foggy brain, or it's hard to concentrate. You just feel really tired and fatigued. Some of those things, it just might be that you need a little bit more water or hydration as well. Ooh, okay, Lorraine, she likes drinking room temp water during the day and ice water and working out. I like it, Lorraine. Okay, and I think that's it for the slides. How are we doing on our time? Okay, we're good. Does anybody have any questions on anything that we covered with hydration, or any input, anything that sticks out for you? We'd love to hear from you. Or if you have any questions that has nothing to do with what we talked about, that's good too. If you're like, okay, I have another question, please feel free to share. And you can direct message, I won't call your name out. Or if it's just been kind of on your mind.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes, hi, Linda.
I assume when you were talking about the cups, you're talking about 8 ounces.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
Just want to clarify that.
Yes, that's good, right? Because that's true. Yes, technically
Cups
8
can
fluid
come
ounces.
in different sizes.
Yeah, this kind of cup, no, yes, technically 8 ounces, which it's good to look at what that actually looks like, and go, okay, how much is 8 ounces? Because I think it does get a little bit skewed in our mind, and maybe pour all the water out you would need in a day just to see, okay, what is 11 cups of water, 88, yes, ounces of water look like? That's a perfect question. Thanks, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
And does anybody have any tip? Like, is this something that is easy for you? I do notice for myself, unless it's hot and I've been exercising a lot, water is a little bit more difficult for me to drink. I don't really think about it that much. So it's something I have to purposely have water bottles next to me. So it's in sight, and then I go, okay, I should be drinking water. It doesn't really come second nature to me, whereas other people just drink it all day long, no problem.
It's always my worst pillar every time, every day, every week, every reset. And I know how bad it is not to drink it. And, I just think we all have our one thing, but yeah, water's mine. Totally.
Mm-hmm. I think I put it on there every week of the 100-day challenge. Drink more water, drink more water. So, okay. Oh, yes. That's smart. I do try to do that as well. Okay, anyone else? I'm glad so many of you came today, some new faces we don't always have. It's exciting. Okay, Maria, anything else from you? And I loved what Maria said about, things with the food sensitivities. Those kinds of things can happen at any point in life. So they could kind of come out of nowhere, and it could be stress related or something else. And so it is a good idea to just start kind of logging like how you're feeling and what you're eating, so you can help pinpoint it. But I will say it is good to work with someone, because you don't want to start eliminating foods unnecessarily. So if you just start cutting out all these different foods, trying to figure it out, that can be kind of dangerous. So if you have someone that can help you, maybe say, hey, these are higher trigger foods, or this may be what it is, that can be helpful, so that you don't feel like you are on such a restrictive plan. Because I'm sure, I've worked with people who similar with Maria, and they just felt so discouraged. And they're like, what can I eat? I don't know if there's anything that I can have. You don't want to feel that way. So. Oh, yeah. Okay, Emily, I like it. Christina, I'm like you, a cup with a straw, way easier. Yes. I like it. Oh, look at it. I love it. Anyone have water by them? I'm using my daughter's LOL cup because I couldn't find one. This is not my first choice, but it's what's here. I like, where's my water? Oh, it's okay. It's water. Okay, Emily said, I find it easier to drink water when I have a large water bottle for when we're out and a designated cup at home that I sip from. I like that. Yes. And I like ice cold water too. So we keep filled glass water bottles just in the fridge. So I can just grab one of those, like make it really, really simple. We just ordered them on Amazon. They were cheap. They're glass and they're just like lined up in our fridge. So that's helped a lot. But these are good. I like that you guys are sharing this. All right. Anyone else, friends?
I have a question. Does coffee count as water?
It does count as part of fluids. Yeah. Because it has a really high water content. So anything that has fluids, yes. Yes. I drink a lot of coffee too, but I'm like, okay, we should probably throw some real water in there too. Coffee's never a problem.
So is it the same, like if you have a 8-ounce cup of coffee, does that count as 8 ounces of water?
Oh yes, Tony, I'll go back to that. This is a good question, Linda and Maria. I don't know, do you have any input on this? Because it does count as fluids, but it's not just water. So do you have any input on that?
I'll look into it. I have a book here that might have the answer in there. So we'll take a look and we can have that as part of the follow-up. We usually post a blog when share the video and we can include that answer in there. Do a little detective work for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes even now a little bit like, well, it does have water and it is fluids, but it's not just water. So yeah, we'll confirm. Okay, Tony asked, can you re-explain the water formula? How much you should have based on your weight? Yes. I can put it back up there. Do you want to put it back up there real quick where I can? Thanks, Maria. Okay, so it's that first slide. Perfect. Okay, so you could so on the left-hand side would just be kind of the general recommendation, about 11 cups. But if you wanted to do it for you specifically, you would use that on the right-hand side. So at the bottom, you would do your body weight in pounds. So you can just put that out and write that out and then divide it by 2.2. And that tells you in kilograms. And then you take that number and you multiply it based on, like Tony, if you wanted to do it average healthy adult, you would do 30 to 35 milliliters. So you get that total. And then to figure out how many cups that is, you divide it by 240 milliliters. And it tells you the amount of cups. And that would just be an average day. So we're not talking about like, if you also add in exercise and you sweat a lot, then you want to make sure that you replace that fluid too. Speaking of all this water, it's making me so thirsty, everybody. Oh, the day before being outdoors, the next day to avoid serious dehydration. Is that true? I guess it is helpful to make sure that you're hydrated and you're not going into the day being dehydrated. Are you seeing her question too, Maria? Oh, you're muted.
I don't know the Mac very well yet. If I go to the chat, does everyone see the chat, even the private messages?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay.
That is, I didn't know if it homeostasis happens every 24 hours or not. Like, I guess I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure. Good question. Oh, here it is. Tell me, guys, if you see this chat. Do you guys see that, or do you see the slides?
I think they can see the chat because Christina kind of just answered it too.
Oh, okay.
So she's asking if you drink water the day before to help prevent being dehydrated the next day. Is that true? And someone said, yes. They said drinking the water that day wouldn't help as much. So just making sure to drink enough beforehand. And the same kind of applies to food. Like if you're going to wake up the next day and say you're going to exercise a lot, making sure that you're hydrated and well fed also the day before is beneficial. So I would say yes, because you don't want to start off in a dehydrated state and then try to catch up. That's a lot harder than just staying hydrated throughout. That's a good question.
Yeah. Very good. Well, if we don't have any other questions for now, we will share this and email it out, and again, put up a blog. But if you have any questions, you can reach out to us. If you have future topics you would like, sometimes we're looking for topics, and, you know, we love sharing. So don't hesitate to reach out and say, oh, you know, maybe this would be good. Like that's how we've done some of these topics is with feedback from you guys. And Lauren and I and a few other trainers, we are part of an upcoming series that will get information out next week or maybe the week after. So if there's, if you guys are interested to work more closely, Lauren already has, is working one-on-one with some people, but it's called the VFit Signature Series, and Sherry and Lindsay are doing yoga one-on-ones, and I'm doing personal training. Lauren's doing dietitian work. So we have a whole new series coming out that look for information for that, but we're really excited putting it together now that 6 months started today, yesterday. But yeah, we just want to thank you guys for your support and your feedback. It really does help us. And again, if you need us in any way, just let us know.
Thanks. There we go. All right. Thank you everybody for coming today. Have an awesome weekend. And Linda, I was just actually looking that up. So I'll be able to get you that answer pretty soon about the water content in the coffee. I remember seeing it when I was looking at that stuff this morning. So we'll get that out to you soon. And
Thank you.